Hey, consider this your invitation to the inaugural Mountain Craft Film Festival. Films, movies, motion pictures, whatever you call them, they're coming to Clarksburg, West Virginia this coming September 29th and 30th. 4 feature-length films by local filmmakers, as well as countless short films from Appalachia for Appalachia. Not to mention food trucks, artisanal vendors, networking opportunities, an immersive virtual reality experience, and much, much more. All under the roof of the beautiful historic Robinson Grand Performing Arts Center. Purchase passes now at mtncraft.com/film festival. Sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date with festival news. And don't miss out on a single story these voices have to tell. Sorry.
WV Uncommonplace. This podcast is a variety podcast that houses numerous series to cover mental health, empowerment, podcast framework, and various intimate theories to get to know the hosts. Along with occasional movies reviews and dives in pop culture with our event podcast episodes. The Uncommonplace digs into bringing guests on that stories don't fit the mold and are very different. WV stands for the great state of West Virginia, and every quarter we cover something in West Virginia. Stacey and myself, JR, are your hosts, so please come along for this venture to Uncommonplace.
Welcome to West Virginia Uncommonplace. My name is JR, and this is one of the first times in a long time that I've got an offbeat episode. This offbeat episode comes about because I was listening to some great podcasts today, one in particular from the Deep MCs, Shepard. I was listening to him talk and talking about value and just the thought of what you do inside podcasting. Does it affect anybody? What does it matter? Is monetization a portion that you need to worry with? Is the elusive number of 1 million followers or going viral? Do any of these things matter in the whole grand scheme of things? And if you go listen to his podcast, you'll definitely get a great answer from him on that. So definitely make sure you tune into Deep MCs and see what he has to say over there. And shout out on doing the solo episode, and shout out to Aaron too over there with the podcast. Now, the reason I want to jump into this arena real fast is real simple. I am one that has always said the hobbyist, the podcaster that monetizes, the person that wants to monetize, the student of podcasting, this, and that. And like I said, you can go around to all the gurus and everybody else and they tell you this, and that. And shout out to them boys out there in the UK with that new podcast out there about growing your show. Shout out to Anthony and Teague over there, Mr. O'Shea. Now, what I have to say is very, very controversial to what I believed and what I started out doing and how I went about things. If I could go back in time, I definitely would do things way different. So first off, I launched a podcast the second go round without any thought or mind into any type of implementation. I literally got on Anchor one day inside of a hotel room and started recording. I was like, I'm not going to have any format. I'll just think of it. I'll do my trailer after I do my first episode. I literally did my first episode coming back and then did a trailer. And I let it sit for a whole year after that. It was just crickets, nothing important. And the more and more I got into building process and systems and this elusive matter of how to get to an audience, too many people take away from this process and say that you got to make something exactly for your audience. Well, when I first started off, I didn't make it for my audience. I made it for myself because I felt that what I needed to say could get people to come flock to what I have to say. So I knew that I definitely wanted to cover mental health because it's an aspect in the male health. And overall, we don't talk about mental health exchanges. We don't talk about the traumas. We don't talk about the issues. So that was one thing I definitely wanted to go into. Next thing, when I looked at the category of society culture, I noticed that it allowed pop culture and different things to go on because I like movies, I like entertainment, I like television, I like those things. And I want to talk about those things sometimes. And unlike everyone else, I did make a huge mistake inside podcasting. Instead of making a podcast for every single little thing that I wanted to do like that, I kept it all under one umbrella and put it under different series. And when I did that, I made a huge mistake and I left a lot of money on the table, because when someone listens to my show, and even to this day, they genuinely can't say that they want to listen every single week. I know, I said that about my show. Some people can tune in and continuously tune in because they know who I am now. But if you're a new listener and you come over and you hear my show or see anything with it, you're going to be like, what the fuck is this clusterfuck? So that's one thing that I've been trying to improve on for the longest time, and I've been working hard to kind of get those strides and all that stuff out of the way. So my first process, I learned how to make the show, how I wanted to make it the right way. I wasn't using the equipment the way that I should have been using it. And at that time I was using a Samson mic hooked into my computer, and I was just running it through voice memo. I wasn't even using GarageBand. I had GarageBand sitting on all these Apple computers here. Didn't even think about using that. And then I went on the next level of finding a software to edit that. So that was 2 steps that I made long for myself. So I recorded elsewhere, then had to take it somewhere else, do the production on it, then send it off, then format it so that I could go into Anchor at the time and go from there. So that was a lot of hassle. And then all the research that I used to do on guests. Like, I used to do so much research on guests. I did more research on the guests than the length of the interviews. And afterwards, it was so much time that I was putting in for each guest. So if I did 4 episodes, for each guest, I was putting in at least, all 4 guests, at least 8 to 10 hours of man work to get this right and that right. And over time, systems and processes, I learned how to get all that into a certain streamline. And then the next thing that everybody went into is the rise of artificial intelligence. That's cool and dandy. I'll jump into that in a second, how it helped me. But in the beginning, I was just so eager to turn out those episodes that I would record them things quick. And I hadn't even built a catalog then. And now, from that point on, I have built a catalog. So going back into the middle of things, here's how things are different now. I know by looking at my analytics and looking at everything that I do, how long people listen to the show, when they drop off the show, and when topics are not accord or not what I need to be talking about or covering with the show. And I ask my audience. That's a key thing that people fail to realize. Like, social media engagement and all that other stuff that people will get hung up on and tied up on. I don't get tied up on that. I like to hear from my people directly through email. Social media and all that engagement is fine, because I see people that have tons of engagement and their show doesn't have any downloads or whatever. They're a good presence online, so maybe they keep a good following that way. Not everybody's the same. So as I got deeper into this, I noticed that people will be like, hey, we like when you did these type of episodes. We follow it better. We like this. So some key things that I had to knock out of my show. I cannot have music guests on. When I talk about music, it's fine as long as it's something that's widely known. But for some reason, I never established myself as an authority in music or anything like that. So since I don't have that kind of avenue, I mean, I could still take the time to do that, but it's a little too late for that. We're gone through the fences. We've gone through and mend everything up, and we got everything tight. So these are the things that I realized that I was pretty strong on. The movie reviews and stuff like that, they got big enough that Stacy and I turned it into a second podcast, reviewing everything. We got a second podcast for that. The deal with the projectors, I'm a projector enthusiast. That's video projectors, Pico, whatever, micro. So I know that I'm authority on that type of stuff. That type of cinema, that arc of cinema, home theaters, that's my realm. That's something that I know that I can talk about. So I stick to those. I dab over in other areas with guests when I talk about metaphysical things, tarot cards and different things like that, because that's something that I like, and I hope that encourages other people that like it to keep to listen to those episodes. So I bring that stuff out for those. And then for all the wrestling purists and all those people that are back from the old WCW NWO days, I try to bring back some nostalgia with wrestling from then, because that's something that is intriguing. Not something that I do all year long. Might just do it 2 or 3 times a year, but we do it. And that's something that I know that the community that I have with me embraces, and they'll tune in or tune out. The ones that tune out to them, that's fine. They come back next week or whenever. I always make sure I have something to draw them back in. Then we go further and further into things. People want to, so we got that process. So if I do a rise and fall episode, I want to keep it between 5 and 10 minutes because I know how those shows work for me and how they produce, and I can gain more listeners sometimes with shorter content at different parts of the year. But the key thing that I do, regardless of whatever's going on, is I always make sure I look at the trends and I look at the precedent on how something went before. How did it work in this atmosphere? How did I market it? How did I advertise it? And since then, I make sure that I'm a student of podcasting. I listen to these gurus. I listen to people that I feel that are authorities in certain areas that I don't have strong presence in. So I go listen to them. I go test what they say to what I do. And if it fits, it fits. If it does not fit, I don't change too many things up because I have a formula that works for me, which every podcaster should do once you've got some episodes in and you've got a routine and you've got a way to, once you get to the streamline process of things. Because streamlining, like last night, I did 8 episodes of 5-minute shows, edited them, got the show notes, got everything that I needed to go with them, all the tangibles except for 3 marketing advertisements out of them. But I'll leave that till later. And even now, I know the places where I belong. When I first started podcasting, I was out here like a crackhead every single day pushing these shows, like pushing. Hey, you need to listen to this one. Listen to the episode about freaking Applebee's every Tuesday. Let's push it down their throat. And I still do promote that sometimes for people that don't know and, you know, newer audiences. I will push it out ever so often because it's one of my highest rated shows. Now, with that said, getting over into this concept of everybody selling something. Even myself, I found myself in a hard spot because I don't teach a course or anything like that. I don't strive to do anything like that. I should, and I may consider it, but here's the thing. I deal with the projectors. I deal with Nebula. I deal with the Nebula capsule. That's a projector I own. That's something that I use, and I can actually say has made a difference in my life, and quality of life has been different because I have it. So that's something that I will advertise. I will talk about. I will do business with them because that's something I actually can say that it's tangible. In the past, I've tried to work with other people and other things, and that has all worked out in my favor. Now, this huge super ugliness in podcasting that I'm seeing now is you have to decide, are you going to do all facets? Are you going to be video, audio? You got to figure out where you're going to go. So I decided to take the backwards approach like everybody else is doing different things. Video is important, but it's not that important to me that I'm going to spend a lot of money on it. If the iPhone cannot produce that, or when I go buy another iPad, if we're not getting 4K quality video, then you may not see that much video for me. Video for other people's different. I don't have the YouTube status, out there. So I really just, I put videos out and I do what I can for it. But at the end of the day, it's not something that's going to break the camel's back for my camp. So with that one, you just give or take how you do things. Now, outside of that, going forward into anything else, I am just literally out here running around with my head cut off. Advertising dollars and different stuff like that, it takes a lot out of you to get all this stuff running and going. So I admire anybody that tries to get these meetings and groups and things up and running and going. I wish you all the best, and I hope that you all succeed at doing this. And if you're not succeeding, remember, trial and error. So that's one other thing that I had to take with a light grip too, where I'm trying to do more with this listener migration stuff that I want to push. I had to learn that I got to warm up a certain way to people, and then the next realm, I gotta like be still and let certain things happen. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm letting the certain things happen, and I'm keeping quiet about things. Now, going into more stuff, because I want to just cover everything as we're doing it real quick. I have health injuries. Found out I'm a type 2 diabetic. Found out at the same time I had a hernia that day, and everybody knows the story about my ankle surgery on that November 9th. So I've been a little bit under the weather. So that's why I've been keeping my presence on social media. Like I know I should be more engaging in lives and different things like that, but at the point where I meet my audience, lives are not what engages people to me, what brings people to the table to listen to West Virginia Uncommonplace. So I had to learn that when I do those things are for fun. And just like with any other thing that goes on in life, I have no politics or no issues with anyone inside podcasting, around podcasting, anywhere. To each his own, whatever someone does, they do. But I've learned that the earliest comments you make about something negative can guarantee traffic to move in certain ways. So I am one of the politicians on this, though, and I say I steer clear of anything that's traffic heavy. I'm not going to push someone's agenda too far or anything too crazy unless it aligns on what I'm doing when it comes to podcast episodes and stuff like that. Now, the progression of podcasts as a whole for everyone, I'm here to help everybody. I want us to have a space where we all can just podcast and get along, collaborate over ideas. And you know, the hardest thing is when people talk about what's failing. No one wants to talk about what's failing and what's successful. So me, I will at some point, probably beginning next year, I will have a better open forum for that. And then the next thing that I've got to do, and I got to get way better at this, is being more interactive in our community when it comes to like these film festivals and stuff like that. Like we've got a film festival that we're involved with right now that I'm going to go to. And lo and behold, had I known about the other one that was going on this weekend, which is August 18th through 19th weekend, I would have went to it too. But luck of the draw, how things fall out, that's how it goes. So I want to thank y'all real quick for this little roundup, a little quick checkup episode. We'll kind of throw this in and we'll just say that this is the August recap, and I'll put it in there. So lastly, the most interesting thing that's going to be going on is Sparrows Under Review is going to be doing a Twilight series for the whole month. That is something you guys definitely should get back behind and enjoy the amazing experience that I had and the disappointment that I got at one point during the movies, and the amazing part of knowing that those books do way more justice than those movies. Either way, this is JR from West Virginia Uncommonplace. Keep seeking the uncommon and it will bring you back to West Virginia Uncommonplace. Welcome to West Virginia Uncommonplace. And let me take a moment real quick and step back a little bit from the mic. Been getting quite a few complaints that sometimes I'm on the mic and you can hear stuff like that. So I'm going to step back a little bit. Might need to add a pop filter in the future. So podcasting's been going how it's going. Podcast movement's been going along. Been hearing a lot of exciting things. Spotify put some things out there. YouTube put some things out there. And, you know, things are growing, but my growing concern is a little scary. Like, I'm an independent podcaster, and nothing ever takes away from that. The money is getting scarce out here. I'm not going to sit here and candy coat it, but getting sponsors and getting people to be involved with your show, it's a little hard. You got to have some selling factors. Me personally, just telling the story, we've had to become almost an influencer to a certain degree to keep revenue coming in. And we've had some meetings with certain people and different things like that. But for us to actually like keep things moving and grooving and staying, you know, somewhat efficient and proficient at the same time, even I've had to delve into this market of, and delve is the word D-E-L-V-E, delve. Delve is the word that everybody's using. It's like the smartest word on earth to use. So let's just switch it up. We're going to dip into this stuff. Like, so for me, making your pitch for your show and what your show does different from someone else, that's not a hard deal to do. So everybody can do that, and we all figure out where we fit in line with that. But the actual part of being an authority of selling something to someone, I'm not an authority in nothing. I can tell you about these projectors and how I use them. And that's like mainly something that I can definitely do, something I'm passionate behind. I play video games, but that's not anything that I can just tie into something and relate anywhere to anything. And then the next thing is this, like actually curating shows to make sense. I did a whole month of Death of Cinema, and basically that was a choreograph thing that I did. It was one of the first series that I implemented ChatGPT and my own personal research into some of the shows, and the few things that I didn't like that I noticed is I did sound like a robot on a few episodes because I tied in the chat GPT stuff and I sounded like a robot. I sounded like I was just reading off something and I was just going real fast like this. And then I realized like that there wasn't enough human interaction in that. So definitely I will retweak, and going forward with that, I'll be going in a different way than I've been going thus far. And this is just an add-on part that I'm adding to the update episode that'll be coming out next week, just so that there's a little bit more volume. And when I say volume, I'm talking about like length of stuff. So only other thing that's major is like, I will have to say this, like I was kind of disappointed with August as a whole in podcasting for me. It's just one of those slow turn months, and we're about to get in here with some heavy stuff. And now remember, West Virginia Uncommonplace is returning with the interviews. We're going to have 3 interviews back to back that will move you and groove you. So I hope you all enjoy them. So like always, I'm JR from West Virginia. Welcome to West Virginia Uncommonplace. My name is JR. You know me by now, everyone. And if you're new to the show, I'm JR. I'm one of the hosts of the show. The other host, Stacy, she's away on assignment right now, doing whatever she does to make our other podcast, Sparrows Under Review, great. Now, this episode ties into the projector episodes that will be coming out at some point. And I know I have told the origin story numerous times of why I prefer projectors and why I have them, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Now, I have the Nebula capsule. That's the projector I use of choice. I obtained it through trade, and it was a very lopsided trade for me, so I ended up on top with it. So here is where my podcasting innovation in my mind and these projectors can work out in different areas. Podcast DJing. Podcast DJing is something real simple. You can find a venue and have them intrigued about wanting to do something with your podcast. Like listen to an episode and then have a talk through with it. Or even if it's not your show, another show like a true crime, and then slowly find a way to integrate your show into it. What I thought about these projectors, which makes it cool, if it's a video podcast, obviously that's an easy way to show it. Even if it's not, using Spotify or any app that you choose to use that's Android based, using this projector, showing it up on a screen will bring in people. And it brings in people because it's an interesting way of making it a new discussion, a group discussion about a show. This right here can go down so many different avenues. You could go to your library and book something with them to allow you to do more. And I'm just saying, like, this is just prop-based stuff, so it doesn't have to be a projector. You can have a smart speaker, whatever. You could do whatever you want with it. But what I'm saying is there's so much innovation that you could use it for. So anyway, so with me, I have this show Ahsoka that's coming out. I'm going to end up watching on my projector or on Disney Plus. It's one of those things that just gets me. Certain parts and times of year, like this projector has come in handy. Now, I will say 2020, 2021, this thing was a daily driver for TV. And that's one of these things about whichever projector you choose, you know, you kind of figure that much out there. Now, getting out of that topic, let's get over into the movies and the driving factors right now. We've got big movies, Barbie, Oppenheimer, and all these different things that are going on. So, underneath Sparrows Under Review, that show will definitely heavily have a lot more influence with the projectors and different things like that. And Nebula is my first choice, but Gimi, that's XGIMI, that's another one that's coming up that's out there that's only just a few clicks away from me trying one of theirs real soon. But being an authority in that has helped me realize, like, that it's hard to be authority in other things if you don't seem sincere and you don't put forth the content for it. That's one thing that I will say with the projectors, that I continuously keep going back and forth with that, going through that and making sure that I'm staying on top of things and keeping, everything lively and working in a timely manner when it comes to using it and how I use it with the podcasting. The hardest thing that I found, though, is like once you have a core group of fans and people that watch or listen to your show, they know these certain things about you. So that's where like I use TikTok, because it's a video agent and I can show more and I can do more over there with it. So, it's just these little minor things here that we have to constantly keep going over and reminding ourselves of in podcasting that keep the podcasting growing for ourselves. And just like with the items like the projector, for instance, me keeping up with that technology and me deciding that that's where I want my face and where I want my voice to be. And that was the ultimate decision I had to make. And once I made that decision, I've stuck with it. And thus far, that's how this series of Death of Cinema came about, because it's something that I follow, and I am an advocate for the projectors becoming the movie standard. I still say go to theaters if you like, no doubt, especially with all these film festivals and everything going on there. But other than that, I'm JR from West Virginia Uncommonplace, and this is another part of the update. So I want to thank you all for kind of letting me do these 3 different parts of this update, and I hope you all thoroughly enjoy it. This is JR from West Virginia Uncommonplace. We are talking about Nebula's Labor Day sale. Get 20% off of Nebula's Labor Day sale. Use promo code Labor Day 2023. Valid August 30th through September 6th. And we will definitely have more information for you guys in the show notes of this episode. So please check it out.
Please follow WV Uncommonplace on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, where we have some great content, Facebook, LinkedIn. Hit up the merch store at oncommonplace.square.site. Join the email list from the website, and rate, subscribe, and give feedback from your favorite podcatcher. And lastly, thanks for listening, and tune into the next episode.